you get, again, you can always make up ground with extra credit. Okay, so again, take that feedback for what it is, trying to make you a better writer. Okay, aware again of different nuances in prompts, making sure that again all questions are addressed in the essay themselves. Okay, so most of you guys did really well. Like I said, it was about an average of 80, 81. So usually around that is what the score usually is. So in that way, again, you can always make up ground. It's not set in stone. This week is the last chapter that we're going to go over. Okay, so specifically, there's no reading for it, but when it comes to being the last quick write, that's going to be due next week, because next week we're going to be going over the final. Okay, so we're going to go over the final. You're going to have 2 weeks to finish the essay itself. So again, next week, this last quick write is going to be due. And then, like I said, it will just be based on the final after that. Okay, so you'll have plenty of time to do that. Also have plenty of time by May 2nd to turn in any extra credit. Okay, so again, that's when extra credit will be due, as indicated on the syllabus where it says all assignments due May 2nd. Okay. Any questions, comments, or concerns in that way? No? All right, sounds good. And again, you can always unmute yourself or simply use the chat box function to ask a question. Okay, so as Isabella is saying, hey to everyone. I'm glad you guys showed up. I was a little worried there. At around 2 minutes left, there was only about, I want to say about 15 students because we have 2 interpreters. So I was thinking, did everybody just think it was 4:20 and just, to say to hell with the class? So again, I was happy to see everyone here in the sense of avoiding, some medical or recreational activities, because again, many of you are not of age to do so. So again, in that way. So getting into local government, political participation, and civic engagement. Okay, so when we're talking about specifically what this chapter specifically talks through, everything local. Okay, our Central Valley as it exists. Okay, everything from the what I like to call the 5 counties when it comes to what makes up the Central Valley, at the heart of the Central Valley. So again, when you're looking at Fresno County, Tulare County, Kings County, okay, these are areas, again, Kern County, Madera County. These are areas that we consider the heart of the valley. Okay, so we're going to be going over issues that us as a valley find important as well. So those specifically dealing with air, water, and immigration. Okay, because again, they're very much intertwined with the industry that speaks to our area. Okay, agriculture. Okay, so we're going to be talking more about all of these nuances in this chapter. All right, so I figured I'd start off with quoting one of our founding fathers, Thomas Jefferson, okay, in the sense of what he says. We in America do not have government by the majority. We have a government by the majority who participate. Okay, remember, there's always that distinction. People that are actually voting in the sense of the voting population. Okay, so again, getting people to participate is the core tenet of democracy. Okay, so again, that's what Thomas Jefferson is trying to say. All right, so civic engagement, when we're talking specifically about what civic engagement calls for, okay, so when we're talking about the idea of what democracy is, civic engagement is that byproduct of what democracy is, okay, in the sense that it's any individual or group activity addressing issues of public concern. Okay? Citizens acting alone or together to protect public values or make a change or difference in the community. Okay, so again, civic engagement, different ways to address these issues or problems that we as a society deem important. Okay, so it can be something as small as, let's say, a horrible pothole on the main drag of your city. Okay, something that's screwing up people's alignment, messing up tires, and the like, to something as big as, let's say, addressing a system of injustice, where, let's say, a situation calls for implementing, a social movement of sorts. So again, depending on the impact within the community, it may call for a bigger civic engagement. Okay. So again, it can be as mundane as, something on the road that's affecting everyone, to something big like a social movement of sorts. Right? So what can you do to also be in civic engagement? As it says there, voting for a candidate, okay, joining a political party. Okay, so we talked about that in one of the quick rights, whether one to join, to party, or not to party. Attend the national convention for your party, okay, in the sense of looking at different ways in which leaders within your party or your brand of politics are going about public speaking. How do they captivate their audiences? What is the pull to the party itself? Campaign for a political party. Okay, so again, campaigning on behalf of the issues that you find important, that are backed by the party in which you identify with. Okay, if you identify with the party, because again, very subjective, based on that. So also voting in a state primary and fundraising for your party. Okay, so fundraising in that way. We also talked about how, the new layer of elections, and how, again, technologically run on our phones, making sure that again, we're all, where we are, whether it be on social media or being texted from these different campaigns to fundraise, that is the new way in which to get money. So types of political participation. So when you're talking about different layers of what political participation is. So voting, it's the most common for Americans, especially in presidential elections. So when it comes to the voting population, the percentage usually rises when the president is on the ballot. Okay. Protesting is one of those dramatic and unconventional types of political participation, but it is protected by the Constitution, freedom of assembly, in terms of looking towards political participation in a unconventional and dramatic way. Okay, so it's also considered civil disobedience. Okay, so when we talked about in Chapter 5, the Civil Rights Movement, when we talked about Martin Luther King, Rosa Parks, that is considered civil disobedience. Okay, ignoring these unjust laws in their opinion. Okay. So contributing is also a type of political participation. Contacting, okay, so contacting, whether it be, voters through phone banking, or contacting door to door, it's always, part of the political participation idea. Campaigning, okay, same idea. Are you knocking on doors? Are you contacting people, campaigning on behalf of your candidates, whether it be male, female, Black, white, Latino, all of these ideas that, again, are political participation behind a campaign. Running for office. So if you yourself ever find your idea of the saying, you know what, I think I can do it better than they can. Okay, do it. Believe you me, we need more young people enlightened to run for office. Okay, so again, I'm all for it. Anybody in here starting out small, maybe running for school board in your local school district, and then moving up to city council, and then you go up to board of supervisors. Okay, whether it be Tulare County, whether it be Kings County, then you start getting in the power positions. Okay, those, when you talk about county budgets, those are in the multi-millions. Okay, when you're talking about having budget say over what the sheriff does, what the DA does, all of these things are very much a power position. Okay, so again, in that way, when you're talking about board of supervisors, that's when you get to the real political positions. Joining a political organization. So if you are interested in a PAC themselves or political action committee, that would be a form of political participation. Litigating. Okay, so litigation on behalf of a, let's say, going against or going for a piece of legislation that is seen in your view as righteous or not righteous, okay, depending on what angle you're looking to establish that political participation, okay, because again, it is on both ends. It's not just one way or the other, it's both, okay, so in that way, litigate, okay. Chatting it up, obviously, in the sense of vocally giving your opinions based on why you feel the way you feel. And I always felt that when you are writing your quick writes, you are kind of chatting with me. Okay, you're chatting with me regarding how you feel about the questions posed. And I always, feel that again, when my students do that, again, it's a better grasp of why they believe what they believe. Okay, so grounding your thoughts and opinions and putting them on paper. Okay, a lot of times simply typing them out and using that mind idea behind how you feel and typing it out is very, very powerful for the individual. Okay, so I've appreciated it all semester. So levels of participation. So when you're talking about different levels of participation, so you have more skin in the game when you're talking about the higher level of activity. So the gladiator activities right there at the top, transitional activities, spectator activities. So you have more skin in the game the higher up the pyramid in level of participation that you go. Okay? So as it says, holding office, you're a candidate for office, you're an active party member, and you're contributing time in a campaign. So those are gladiator activities in the sense that, again, you're putting more effort, more skin in the game. Transitional, that is attending a political rally, donating money to a party, contacting an official. And then spectator activities, just simply wearing a button, vote for whoever it is, trying to talk to somebody into voting a certain way. Okay, so again, the idea that we are, unique, complex human beings, and we've all been politically socialized very different. So when we talk to somebody and we engage with them, again, we always have to keep that in mind. They lived a different life than us. They came to understand the world very different than we did. So again, knowing and understanding that as a level of participation in a spectator activity. Political discussion, so discussing ideas of importance, which, like I've said, I love that you've done all semester with regards to the quick writes, discussing how you believe and why you believe it. And then right there at the bottom, voting. Okay, so voting being that the lowest level of participation, but being the foundation nonetheless. Okay. All right, so the value of participation. Okay, so as I talked about earlier in the semester, when we are in kindergarten, okay, in preschool, okay, we are indoctrinated with these core democratic values. Okay, the Pledge of Allegiance, liberty and justice, these core democratic values that are being ingrained in us at a young age. Okay, oftentimes, other ones being life, liberty, pursuit of happiness, justice, common good, equality, truth, diversity, popular sovereignty, and patriotism. Okay, so these are other words. Obviously, freedom can be another one, specifically that idea or foundation of that democratic core value. Political efficacy. Okay, so this is a big term in the sense that this is very much dependent on how a citizen feels about how they can influence the system. Okay, so political efficacy, simply defined, is a citizen's faith and trust in government and their belief that they can understand and influence political affairs. Okay, so the idea of, again, how this happens, oftentimes the pendulum swings at different times. Okay, how trustworthy our government at different times, how untrustworthy is it at different times. Obviously, very much dependent on the lens or perspective one is viewing, but political efficacy is how an individual feels that they can understand and influence the system in which they live. Okay, the political affairs that are going on, that they feel that they can simply have an impact toward. So it is commonly measured by surveys and is used as an indicator for the broader health of civil society. Okay, so in the sense that, again, you don't want an apathetic population because, again, apathy is how, oftentimes ignorance grows. Because, again, if you're not, knowledgeable in the system in terms of what's going on, apathy is a recipe for disaster. Okay, so again, never be apathetic. Don't not care about the system, because, again, politics is everywhere. Okay, if it's not in your how much you're paying for tuition every semester, it's in how much money you pay for your gas at the pump, which is going up. It's always the pits when it does. So again, everything is so political. You just have to look into, again, what following the money means. All right. So the influence of participation. So I've gone over this term many times. And again, it's one of those that, again, I want it to be ingrained in you. Okay? Knowing that, again, this is what makes us the complex human beings that we are. Okay? It's the process by which we as individuals learn and frequently internalize, okay, a political lens, framing our perceptions of how power is arranged and how the world around us is and should be organized. Okay, so again, our feelings toward how we've grown up, the demographics of who we are as a person, those are basically that lens from our perception. Okay, so we're given that. We didn't choose the color of our eyes, the color of our skin, whether our parents were married or divorced, whether we were raised by grandparents, all of these things that, again, speak to who we are. So those perceptions in turn shape and define individuals' definitions of who they are and how they should behave in political and economic institutions in which they live. So again, political socialization, it's, again, why we think about politics the way we do. The different nuances that make us special human beings. Okay, we've all grown up very differently. Like I said, with a different hair color, a different height, a different gender, all of these things that make us very unique. So again, these little, they would be little signs, that one would have, whether it be conservative, Democrat, pro-life, pro-choice, all these different things that, again, speak to who we are. Okay? And again, that influence of our parents cannot be understated. Okay? Our parents very much, the political foundation of socialization. All right, so you may have seen this before. Again, these are the agents of socialization. Okay, again, these are the ideas that, again, influence us as to, again, how we politically socialize in society. Okay, so again, peers, religion, government, media, work, ethnic background, clubs and social groups, school, and again, family being that foundation. Okay? So those are all agents of socialization. All right, so political consequences of non-participation. So I have all these freaked out faces in the sense of where it's at. So Tyler says I got frozen for a second. Now I'm fine. Okay, good. I'm glad I didn't freeze completely there, because usually you freeze in this like, ugly face where you're like, so it's like, it's so weird. I've seen it many times, and I know I've been a victim of it. So I just laugh it off now. So again, these crazy looking faces are indicative of the fact of consequences of non-participation. You should be freaked out because, again, like I was saying, apathy is a recipe for disaster. Okay? So again, participation is necessary in any democracy, okay, to function properly. All right. So beware of despotism over democracy. Okay. So a very, very good film was made right after World War II. Okay. So in this very short film, it's called Despotism. Okay. And it was made in 1946. Okay. It is old school, but it is so very relevant to any leader or dictator in any part of the world, that where this meter, you see the idea of despotism to democracy. Okay? There's this meter that they show, and a famed Yale professor, his name is Harold Laswell. Okay? He is narrating this film. Okay. So again, it is right after the defeat of Nazi Germany. Okay? So Adolf Hitler being the epitome of a despot, okay, somebody at the top that is telling everyone else at the bottom, what to live by, curtailing different gun laws, different things of the like. So again, all of those different aspects to democracy over despotism. Okay, so he is narrating this film and showing how if we do not have an astute population that is participating, that this meter starts creeping over to despotism. Okay, so again, healthy democracy is where people are participating. Unhealthy is where people are apathetic. Okay, so that's where Harold Laswell is saying that a country becomes open to manipulation by a despot. Okay, so this is how he felt Nazi Germany was able to be influenced at the time by a figure like Adolf Hitler. Okay, so again, a very, very well done for its time. I mean, it was made in 1946, so older than everyone in here, but still very relevant. If we were in the physical classroom, I would have shown you the 5 to 10 minute video of Harold Laswell and his explanation as to why an astute population of citizens is needed. So as again, this video calls attention to the need for a vigilant population capable of critical awareness to the powers that be. Okay, so Ben Garrison, he's a big political comic guy. So what happens when good American couch potatoes do nothing? Okay, so as you can see, Mr. Couch Potato there is being peeled of his wealth, his rights, his health, his privacy, his freedom, his dignity, and his hope. Okay, and if you see right there, tattooed right above the rubber gloves, on the hands of the paring knife, right above it, you can see Big Gov. Okay, so the idea of where Mr. Garrison, is kind of on that conservative slant, but nonetheless, okay, very important to the idea that if we are not astute, if we are couch potatoes, you are going to slightly see the erosion of that freedom, that dignity, that wealth, that health. So again, we have to be aware of what's going on. All right. So local governments, okay, one of these cities may or may not be your city in which you live. I tried to get as many from the Valley as I could. Anything from Dinuba, Reedley, Sanger, Selma, Kingsburg, Fowler, Firebaugh, Clovis, Fresno, Tulare, Visalia, and Madera. So I put as many emblems in there as possible. So these are the small rural communities that make up, the better part of our valley. Okay, not saying that the other cities aren't the better part, but again, when you're looking at the core of what the valley is in that way. All right. So when you're looking at local governments, okay, local governments have the option of having a strong mayor or a weak mayor. Okay, so in this flow chart, as you can see, as it says a strong mayor, okay, in a strong mayor, the election of the mayor is held separately. Okay, so you have to run for the office of mayor in a city if it's a city with a strong mayor, right? Whereas in a weak mayor situation, okay, this is where the city council is chosen at large, right? So once the 5 to 7 city council members are chosen, right, they then choose who the mayor is, okay? So in a weak mayor system, the mayor is more of a figurehead, okay? So in a strong mayor system, the mayor gets to choose who the heads of the administrative departments in the city will be. Okay, so let's say parks and recreation, let's say community activities with the elderly or whatever it may be. All of these things are chosen by the mayor in a strong mayor system. Okay? In a weak mayor system, it is the entire city council that gets to make that decision as to who the heads of these departments are. Okay? So as you can see there, in a strong mayor system, again, he's elected or she is elected in the election of a mayor individually. Okay. Whereas in a weak mayor system, you are electing a city council that is then choosing amongst themselves who is going to be a figurehead and be the mayor. Okay. Because again, they really don't have much power outside of being just the figurehead. Okay? So again, in that way, this is the difference between a strong mayor system and a weak mayor system. Right? All right. So I figured I'd throw a picture of the famous or infamous, depending on one's opinion, of Jerry Dyer. So he was recently elected to the mayor of Fresno. Okay. So in that way, so strong mayor again can choose who will head various city departments on his or her own. Okay. Whereas again, in a weak mayor system, it needs the approval of the city council to appoint these department heads. Okay. So again, every city gets to choose what type of mayoral system that they want to go towards. Okay. So they have to, set that up within their own city, okay, with the help of various departments within the federal government. Oftentimes the General Services Administration sometimes will help out with regards to facilitating action moving forward. So again, depending on if a city is barely starting or barely becoming incorporated, it all depends on how the city wants to move forward in that way. Okay. All right. So what do we care about here in the Valley? Okay. So as a lot of those stickers show, again, we care about our forests. Okay. I for one, obviously, I love the Sierras. I love sequoias. I'm a sucker for nature and the environment. So again, we have beautiful forests that people come from all around the world for. Okay, so we care about them. Okay, because again, they're in our backyard. A lot of people, don't take advantage of it as much as they should, or if you do, that's awesome. But again, having the luxury of having, these national parks in our backyard. Obviously, we care about our water conservation efforts in different ways, all those different things like that. So obviously, Fresno State big aspect of who the Valley is with the Valley V. So I teach at Fresno State too. So much love to the Bulldogs. Also, Fresno County super. When it comes to the actual school system itself in Fresno County, also Tulare County Office of Education, all these different areas in which, again, our Valley seeks to educate its population. And then obviously you got College Sequoias right there, where we're all attending, and then U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services. Okay, so like I said, we're going to be talking about different immigration issues that have arisen in the Valley. Valley Children's. So obviously we 100% love our Valley Children's. I mean, when having the luxury of having a hospital that you can take your newborn, or preteen to get healthy. It's one of those things that we oftentimes don't realize how lucky we are. That we have that resource. I know a lot of students. I know a lot of family members that have taken advantage of the world class medical help that Valley Children's will provide. And then you got First Five Fresno County. You got First Five Tulare County as well. And then you got St. Agnes. You got community medical centers. All these different areas. Kaiser Permanente. Cahuilla Delta. Obviously, very, very powerful. So again, all of these entities that here in the Valley, speak or strike a chord with us as citizens. Right? All right, and obviously we care about our air quality, especially when it comes to the summer. All these hazardous or very hazardous days where nobody can go outside. Nobody can do physical activities. So one of those things. It was so much worse this past summer. It was just it was awful. Having to not only having to face COVID, but also, the wildfires that were just making, breathing outside unbearable. All right. So I believe Tyler said Gavin Newsom versus Arnold Schwarzenegger. If it's a Mr. Olympia, I think Arnie's got him. But when it comes to I guess Terminator 2, Judgment Day. I think Arnie can beat him. Oh, strong mayor versus weak mayor. So I'm assuming that's for the governor. So they're both of them, either were governor or are governor. So if they are specifically when you're talking about, like, let's say, if they were to run against each other, I don't think Arnie would run. But I've heard that, I don't know, what's her name? She was an adult film star. I guess she ran the first time during the first recall when Gray Davis was recalled, and now she's running again. So again, it's one of those things you kind of see things, history repeat itself. But yeah, one of those things in that way. All right. So San Joaquin Valley primary concerns. So air is 100% number one. So I'm going to show you what I mean by that. Okay. So we have the San Joaquin Valley Air Pollution Control District. Okay. So this is to inform us as to, the days in which particles in the air are worse than other days. Okay. So let's say I were to click on here and say Tulare County. Let's say how bad the air is, or at least it's spring, so it's not going to be that bad. But let's say you refresh the page, it's going to allow you to. That's not. Let's see. Are you doing it? Let's see. Page is not responding. Well, I'm going to exit the page then. All right. Let's see. So if you do go to the website itself, it will let you know again burn days. Okay, when you can burn the particles in the air that are abundant. So it'll tell you the hazardous particles that have been detected on any given day in the valley. So it'll also do that. Okay, so let me see if I can bring it up. So yeah, there we go. So let me share it. See if it actually. All right, let's do that, and let's see if it actually does it this time. Okay, so if I put forecast details, Tulare County, give me those daily forecast details. If it doesn't do it, obviously it's probably the whole Zoom thing that's kind of not allowing it to. But like I said, San Joaquin Air Pollution Control District. This is where you're going to find the particles in the air and everything else that we didn't do it. Darn it. So it's all good. You guys will know where to find it. Again, San Joaquin Valley Air Pollution Control District. Okay, so that's specifically where it's at. You can find, where how hazardous, where these particles in the air are primarily located in the valley. Okay, because again, as we get further south, the air gets worse. Okay, so believe it or not, Tulare County has it bad, but Kern County has it the worst. Okay, so what happens is the valley is like a bowl. Okay, and Kern County being the furthest south on that bowl, when it reaches the Grapevine, again, all of that pollution is allowed to sit in the bowl, unless again there's a rain that cleans it out. It's going to stay there. Okay, so again, that's why Kern County has some of the worst air in the nation. Okay, especially at different points during the summer. So specifically, our geography here in the valley is screwing us, okay? Because the further south, so when you're going north, okay, let's say Pacheco Pass. So there's a reason why the air appears to be sucking downwards. When you're going through Pacheco Pass, if you're going to the bay, you have that suction point where the air is just so intense, okay? So that is pushing the Bay Area's horrible air, okay, which they are able to have pristine air because they have the ocean current, then pushes their bad air through Pacheco Pass, and we get to mellow and sit in it, all summer at different points. So again, that's how our geography, a lot of times here in the valley, is kind of screwing us over. Again, why the pollution is allowed to sit within the valley. And then we got water and immigration. So what do I mean by detailed water? Okay, so water is obviously the core of humanity in terms of how we were able to spawn as a species. So when it comes to how water is and has been distributed, it is very political. Okay, who controls these canals, these dams, where is it going to be diverted to? These are all very political. Okay, because a lot of the water rights are already spoken for. Right, they won't tell you that, but a lot of the water rights that people have, been able to maintain as, from old money. So let's say Mulholland. Mulholland, he owns a lot of the water rights coming from Owens River Valley in LA. So Mulholland and the family of Mulholland, multi-billionaires. Okay, multi-billionaires. So when you're looking at how much power water rights are, again, we can choose to, build a dam and have more water, But again, there's still going to be a striking point with politics. Who's going to get to control how much water flows and what canals are those waters going to flow to? Okay, that becomes very political. Which farmers are going to get water and which ones are going to get cut out of the equation? So again, when you're looking at these deltas and these canals, you have to see them as precious commodities because they are. All that water and acre footage of water, it's important for these farmers to exist, their livelihood. So again, we always have to put in the lens that a lot of these water rights, is what keeps the situation very sticky. Okay. Also, the politics of, let's say, endangered species. So let's say the Delta smelt. Let's say, I think it was the kit fox is one of them as well. That's an endangered species. But again, when you're talking about the overall, there's so many different areas where politics is involved. Okay, if it's not endangered species, it's again how much water rights percentage does one individual have? Where's that water going? Where should the dam be built if it were to be built? All of these things that again become very, very political. All right. So the battle for water in California. So there's a very, very good book by Norris Hudley titled The Great Thirst. Okay. This is probably the best history of water and water rights in California. Okay. The history goes back all the way to our earliest ancestors, the immigrants coming from, crossing the Bering Strait, situating themselves along the coastlines. And then it goes all the way to, the Mexican-American War, the Gold Rush, and it shows how water has become so political. So I would suggest, it's a very long book, but I would suggest it for those that want to know where our water truly comes from. Okay. So yes, it's called The Great Thirst. Okay. It's right here. I'll show you the cover of it. So this is the cover of it. So as it says there on the primary concerns of San Joaquin Valley. So Norris Hudley Jr., The Great Thirst. Okay. So that is the book itself to Rebecca, who hopefully will read it. All right. So protecting immigrant rights in the Central Valley. Okay, so I would have showed you a video in Vice News of a farming community outside of New York that the parallels between the valley are uncanny. Okay, so I would have showed you this in terms of why immigrants are important for the overall function of the agriculture industry. Okay, so the idea of having a readily sourced labor force that is acclimated to working in frigid conditions, hot conditions, rain, snow, and sleet. So it does a good job of putting things in perspective. That farmers, love workers that are working for them, because a lot of times they can't find people to pick the fields. So a lot of times some of their fields just simply are not picked because they don't have the labor that has or wants to go out in the fields and pick fruit. So a lot of what happens is a lot of it's just left to rot on the tree, or let's say gleaning. A lot of farmers will glean. They'll allow some nonprofits to come in and perhaps take it, maybe feed livestock with it. All these different things that you can do, with agriculture that is not going to be utilized for commerce and sale. And here in the valley, like I said, when it comes to farmers, they'd rather have it picked so they can make money from it rather than, just allowing it to die on the vine. So again, there's that crunch between, immigrants and immigrant rights, but also again, the farming community, farmers that need that readily sourced available labor. All right. So, what's important in this chapter? So, when we're talking about, again, civic engagement is participation. Okay. So, again, that is any individual or group activity addressing that public concern. Okay. So, again, whatever that public concern is, whether it's as small as a pothole on the main drag, or if it's something of greater magnitude. Okay. Let's say a member in the society is shot by the police. Okay. What do you do? So again, civic engagement means, again, citizens are going to be addressing this issue in their own opinion, okay, how things happened or why things need to be remedied in a certain way. So citizens acting alone or together to protect public values or make a change or difference in the community. Political efficacy. Okay, so when we're talking about political efficacy, again, this is that pendulum that swings at different times. How much faith and trust do citizens have in their government? Okay, so how much they feel that they can understand and influence political affairs within their government. Right? And again, it is commonly measured as that indicator of health of the broader civil society. Okay, so it's done by surveys, it's done by different opinion polls that happen with regards to indicating how a community feels about their government, local, state, or national. And then political socialization, like I've said, this is one term that I want to embed in your head. Okay, this is again what makes us the unique, complex human beings that we are. Okay? The different, nobody can ever be us. Okay, they can never have lived our life in terms of how we came to be. The issues that we've had to deal with growing up, and becoming adults. So again, the idea of political socialization, why we learn the way we do, how we internalize our political lens, what we find important, that often is drawn from our family, okay? Specifically our parents. All right, so this is the last quick write of the semester. I know you guys are like, so again, you guys, it'll be again, hopefully in the sense of making it your last class online, if you so choose. Okay, if you so choose. So next week we'll be going over the final. Okay, so as I said right at the beginning of class, we'll be going over the essay for the final. Okay, so you will have 2 weeks to do the final. Okay, so it is everything COVID-19 related. Okay, so everything political, from the mandatory lockdowns a year ago, quarantine, to the vaccines. Okay, the rollout of Pfizer, Moderna, AstraZeneca, Johnson and Johnson. So again, we're going to be talking about different ideas that go along with COVID-19. So everything political about COVID-19, you are going to get to express to me, okay, how you feel, how lockdown has affected you personally, whether that be mental, physical, emotional. So again, everything that the final will call for is everything we are living right now. Okay, so everything, the COVID world that we live in, we're going to be dissecting the whole idea behind, the mask mandate, mandatory shutdowns, the vaccines, and so forth. But again, we will be discussing that in detail next week. Okay, so that will give you 2 weeks to finish your final. All right. So I have a couple more questions. Oh, could we bring up different countries? So you mean, Kamya, do you mean when you're talking about the final? Yeah. If you want to bring up different countries, as in bringing, bringing another country that may have dealt with COVID-19 differently. Let's say China. It's gonna deal with China also. So again, there's going to be some aspect to China in it. With regards to how the disease was, the narrative is said to have, come from a bat to pangolin and then human contact. We're going to be talking about that. Okay, we're going to be talking about those different ideas that go along with what we're being told from the authority figures that be. All right. So I have a private question for the quick write tonight. I'm having trouble focusing on one issue. It's kind of turning into a rant. Is that okay? Yeah, 100%. Again, a quick write is, kind of supposed to be a political rant of sorts. It's the idea that you are expressing yourself in a way to describe whether, again, in 10 years, you want to be in this state. Okay, whether again, the increases or in taxation, or whether the fear of climate change, or the fear of prices going through the roof, cost of living in the state, again, how we feel about our state. Okay, are we looking to live here in 10 years? Or are we looking to possibly find another state to call our own? Okay, so again, that's kind of where what the quick write in that way to that private question is kind of cool. Right? So Kami asks for the COVID vaccine. So yeah, so in the sense of what it is, you can, definitely use India also, as there are so many cases and it's shut down again. Yeah, 100%. So in the sense of, again, how you can use examples from other countries that may have done it better or worse than the United States. So again, depending on the numbers, depending on the rollout, how much vaccine was available, we're going to be talking about all these different ideas in the final itself. All right. So, are there any other questions, comments, concerns, or issues that I can answer? I look forward to it too. I do too, Anthony, because again, I like knowing what your perspective is in terms of what we're living right now. Because again, I'm living the same reality as everyone else. Okay, in the sense that the world we knew a year ago doesn't exist right now. Okay? All those movies that we used to go to, those concerts, being able to travel to the coast without any flack from the locals. It's one of those things where, again, we're all living in this situation or a simulation, as Jesse says, depending on if one believes the theory that is put forth, that is endeared by Elon Musk and others. So again, it could be. So how many pages will the final be? I'm sorry if you said it earlier, I blanked out. No, I didn't say it. I'm not sure yet on the length itself, because again, when it comes to getting the actual requirements, I will have that by next week. Okay, it's usually around 4 to 5, but I'll see whether, again, that'll be a little bit too much or too little. But I think it might be around that. So just factor in that it'll probably be around that. But good question. Very good question. Any other questions, comments, concerns, or issues before I let everyone go? All right. So have a great rest of the week. Again, if you have not done your quick writes, turn them in. Your video writing assignment, turn it in. Okay. So again, May 2nd is the last day that I will be accepting the any work, okay, extra credit or quick writes that are late. Okay. So make sure, get them in. Don't not turn them in. It's going to affect your grade. So again, turn in all your late work, Again, it'll be substance all the way up until May 2nd. Okay, so yes, right on the syllabus, it is everything will be due May 2nd. All right. So have a great rest of the day. Whoever said they're getting the second vaccine, that's awesome. I got my second Pfizer 2 weeks ago. So again, one of those things that in itself is political, whether one wants to take the vaccine. So again, it's one of those things, you don't know the long-term effects. So it's one of those things, it's a shot in the dark, and literally it's a shot in the dark. So again, one of those things, personal opinions as to why or why not, that'll also be part of the final. So again, politics as it exists in the post-COVID world, or the current COVID world. We're not even post-COVID because, again, it's not even over. So we will do what we can. All right. Any other questions, comments, concerns, or issues before I let everyone go? No? All right. Have a great rest of the week. I will see everyone next Monday to go over the final. All right. Have a great rest of the week. Peace.
Do you mean Tuesday? I'm sorry.
What's
Thank
that?
you.
Do you mean Tuesday? Not Monday, right?
Yeah, I'm sorry. Tuesday. I meant Tuesday. I'm sorry. Did I say Monday?
Yeah, he said Monday.
Man, I was a day behind. Maybe I just didn't think it was 420 yet. I just one of those things. Have a great one.
All right. Thank you so much.
No worries.